This weekend, One Championship is having their biggest card ever since their 10th year anniversary, which is headlined by Rodtang versus Takeru. So, let's get straight into it. Okay, starting off with Sam A versus Jonathan DeBella for the Strawweight Kickboxing World title. So, Sam A has sort of been on and off with retirement, losing by decision and then by knockout to Tawanchai, coming back, knocking out some lower level guys, and seemingly being reinvigorated. But that simply just won't work at the highest level. You can't be bouncing in and out of retirement and having knockout losses. It just doesn't work like that. And Sam A is incredibly skilled. It's not a skill issue with Sam A. But DeBella went to a very, very, very close decision with Tawanchai, and I do rate that quite highly. DeBella is very fast. He hits pretty solid for the weight class, and he has a damn good head kick. And if you've watched Sam A in the stadiums, one of his main weaknesses is getting knocked out by the head kick. And unfortunately, I do see DeBella landing it and knocking out Sam A. I think Sam A will last a while. I think it'll take DeBella a bit of time to get going, just to balance out the skill gap. But I do see DeBella finding the head kick in the third, fourth, or fifth round and putting Sam A down and out. Okay, next up is Adriano Moraes versus Yuya Wakamatsu. So this fight is for the vacant Flyweight Championship after Demetrius Johnson vacated his title. And upon speculation, there was a Dagestani fighter that was meant to fight Demetrius Johnson, right? It was speculated after his trilogy with Adriano. And I'm pretty sure he popped for steroids. And there was no other interesting matchups for Demetrius, so he retired. And the two top contenders of the weight class are Yuya and Adriano. Now, they fought about 3 years ago on the 10th anniversary card, and it was a pretty underwhelming fight. Moraes ended up submitting him, and I kind of just see the fight playing out the same way. I think it's going to be probably the least exciting fight on the main card. Moraes is much past his prime. He's been kind of looking a bit in his last few fights. He's still been managing to win and get submissions, which is very impressive at his age, but I'm just not believing in Yuya's skills, and I do see Adriano either winning by a boring decision or a late round submission, probably a guillotine if anything. Next up is the third for the feature fight on the main card, Superlek versus Nabil Anane 2, the interim Bantamweight champion versus the Bantamweight champion. These two fought 2 years ago, and Superlek won by first round TKO due to body shots. Now, Nabil was very, very young when he came into One Championship, and that was his first fight against the number one contender at Flyweight, nonetheless, which is just ridiculous. Since then, Nabil has gone on to beat Nakrob Fairtex, Muang Thai, Felipe Lobo, Solu In, and Nico Carrillo by knockout. Very, very, and Kulumdam. Very, very impressive, right? And moved up a weight class and collected some excellent wins. Superlek went on to beat Rodtang, Takeru, and Jonathan Haggerty again, and looked incredibly impressive while doing so. So how do I see this fight going? I do think Superlek's still going to win. I just feel like he's technically just extremely good. He's so good, and I cannot get over how skilled he is, and he can cause good amounts of damage. But Nabil has certainly improved, and I'm not going to look past that. I feel like Nabil has gotten a lot better with his range control and his distancing, but his frame and just his chin and durability is still an issue. He's just been better at putting distance between him and his opponents. So I see this fight going to a decision. A somewhat close one, where Nabil will definitely have his moments with the knees and the elbows and long-range punches, giving Superlek a very tough fight. But I do see Superlek getting in close, doing heavy amounts of damage, and having it be much more meaningful and just having success throughout the fight. So I do see Super Leg winning by a relatively close decision. Now for the co-main event, Tawanchai versus Masaki Noiri, the interim featherweight kickboxing world championship. So Tawanchai coming off of a knockout win over Superbon and just an impressive run of victories through one championship, showing excellent finishing potential and going to toe-to-toe with some extremely high-level opposition. Masaki Noiri hasn't had the same success. He lost his kickboxing, or one championship kickboxing debut against Sittachai, and then lost a competitive slugfest to essentially a random Chinese kickboxer. He then won via leg kicks to a fairly average kickboxer, assuming they gave him that opponent just so he could get a win inside one championship. And now he's contending against Tawanchai. They really, really want to break into the Japanese market, but what I've seen from Masaki Noiri in one championship just does not show me that he can beat Tawanchai. And Noiri is very, very good. Very good. He has some excellent wins. Tawanchai is so good. His left kick is otherworldly. And, seeing Sittachai work Masaki like that was really, really impressive. And I feel like Tawanchai can do that, but with quite a bit more stopping power. I don't know if I see Tawanchai knocking out Noiri, but I do see him hurting him in multiple moments, just being quicker with the kicks, to the punches, just being overall more technical, being able to combat Noiri's pressure, and just overall winning by decision, I think. Now for the main event, Rodtang versus Takeru. Kickboxing fight, I believe 3 rounds, which is really quite disappointing, but it will be great nonetheless. Takeru coming off of a knockout win over Tanzin after getting dropped in the first round. Before that, he lost a somewhat competitive decision with Super Leg, getting jabbed and leg kicked for the most part, but having some moments in the third and nearly finishing him with body shots. Rodtang coming over a kind of gimme fight over Jacob Smith, of an opponent that he's already beaten, one that was coming off a loss. Before that, he fought Dennis Purick, missed weight for that fight, always missed weights for his last 2 fights. That was a relatively close fight until he started going to the body shots, but before that he lost to Super Leg. So Rodtang's had a bit of a slower sort of run in one championship. As of late, he hasn't really had as much success or star power, even though he's been winning most of his fights. It seemed like he's a bit, not necessarily slowing down because he's quite young, but he's hit a bit of a hump. But Takeru, again, hasn't shown a lot in one championship. He lost to Super Leg, and aside from the moment in the third round, he, for the most part, just got schooled by jabs and leg kicks. It was pretty simple. And Rodtang is a Muay mat fighter. Very good with punches, very, very good with leg kicks. And I do see Rodtang chewing up the legs of Takeru and just being a lot more durable to the body than Super Leg. Just being able to walk through what Takeru has to offer and just start exchanging with him. And I think it'll be competitive, and Takeru will absolutely have his moments. But Rodtang, again, his pressure will just be too much. Takeru will wilt a bit. And I don't think the fight's going to be long enough for Rodtang to have a finish. If it was 5 rounds, I'd say Rodtang by 4th or 5th round TKO. But since it's 3 rounds, I do see Rodtang winning by decision in an excellent, excellent fight. So anyway, guys, those were just my predictions for the 1/172 card. I cannot wait for it. I'll do some breakdowns for the fights after they happen. And anyway, guys, see ya.